On the National Government Constituency Development Fund, our members, you know for sure, and it's not a secret, that our courts wanted to do away with this fund. But our president, having been a member of parliament, appreciating the importance of that fund, in his magnanimity, fought very hard to ensure that this fund stays. And it was the right decision, because this fund is a fund that is felt. Because one, is only 6% that goes to recurrent. Everything else goes to development. So when the government, led by our president, has a few challenges in terms of availability of exchequer because of the challenges of revenue collection, we also want to ask our members, likewise, to extend the same magnanimity when the parliament is taking a decision on how to react when money is not available on time. I have sat with the president many times, and I want to confirm to you that he is on the neck of Professor Ndung'u and PS Kiptoo to release money to members of parliament through the fund. And he is very clear that it should always be given a priority. So some of us who sit with him making those decisions, when we see you joining the other side of the house in a way that is a bit demoralizing, we feel a little bit low. So I want to ask you kindly to be magnanimous, to appreciate the challenges that we face as a country, and to know that the president from where he sits is your #1 supporter in terms of having funds to implement your mandate. I think with that understanding, it will help the situation as we move on. Finally,
on the floor of parliament, there is no government. It is us who are government on the floor of the house. And therefore, even when there's an agenda that is not pro-government per se, or where we think government in a way has slackened, possibly, and I gave the case example of NGCDF because it also touches on me. And you see the way I also struggle when I'm speaking to say I don't speak for any cabinet secretary, including Professor Ndung'u. I speak as a representative of the people of Kikuyu today on NGCDF. But we do so with caution so that we also do not in any way incite the House not to carry on with business. Case example, members are signing signatures to impeach a cabinet secretary on account of non-disbursement of NGCDF. And you find a member of Kenya Kwanza signing to impeach a cabinet secretary on non-disbursement of NGCDF. And it is within our right. But I just want to say, Your Excellency and honorable members, it is in our right to oversight these cabinet secretaries, but also to appreciate that all the challenges that we face as a country and as a government, there are no other leaders that we are looking up to resolve those challenges. We must be part of the solution. And I know we have had challenges with exchequer releases. We have really harassed CS Ndung'u and PS Kiptoo on NGCDF. But I just pleading for some understanding. In fact, Your Excellency, I was engaging a number of us, a number of chairs of committees, and reminding ourselves last year, which was the second session after the elections, and when just before we did our first budget, we will all remember the first NGCDF disbursement was done at the end of February, the very first one. And by June 30th, Your Excellency, 100% of our NGCDF disbursement had been done. For the first time since I joined Parliament in 2013, it was the first time that we had NGCDF being disbursed 100%. This time, we have had the same challenges, Your Excellency. The first disbursement of NGCDF was done early January, 10 billion shillings, and the CS National Treasury has committed to a disbursement of 10 billion shillings every month to ensure that by the end of the financial year again, we have 100% disbursement of NGCDF. So it is that kind of understanding that I want to plead with all of us, because we know the challenges, Your Excellency, you've had with debt repayment. I know there is some very bright light at the end of the tunnel now with opportunities that come with the resolution of the issues to do the Eurobond, and a lot of receipts coming from our development partners. The exchequer releases will be more efficient than they have been.
The easiest way that opposition can defeat a government bill, so to speak, in Senate is to declare it that this is anti-devolution. You're rolling back the gains. And without knowing, many a times people join into the chorus. And I have endeavored to remind my colleague senators that at least in the term that I have served as majority leader, I have never received a call from His Excellency, the President or his deputy, asking me that you must insist on a bill to come in a particular way. On many occasions, even when he has called to find out why did you guys change this particular provision, he has agreed with our wisdom as Senate. It is within our powers as the legislature to change whatever bill or proposal that has come from the office of the AG. Therefore, each time we consider a government bill, and I'm sure by now everybody knows what a government bill is, it is within your right to pass any amendment. But what I perhaps take great exception to is us sometimes appreciating and agreeing to a chorus that our colleagues from the minority side love initiating, and sometimes we unwittingly join and say that, in fact, if we pass this particular bill, we'll have either rolled back the gains or this or the other. It is important to declare, and I declare this in your sitting, Your Excellency, that at no particular time have you insisted that Parliament needs to transact their job in any particular way. You have given us the freedom to think and appreciate things, especially us from the Senate. On many occasions, we don't agree with our colleagues in the Assembly. And I want to tell my membership that if you bring an amendment, and for sure you can convince the rest of us all that that secures our mandate, it places counties at the forefront on many of these issues, be assured of our support from I as your leader of the majority and the leadership of the House, so that we can all progress together. That is just a pitch to propose and request our colleagues that let us maintain the 100% record that we have. There is no government bill that has come to the Senate and has been defeated on any account. We amend, that is within our mandate, and that's our business. So I expect that on this water amendment bill, and Your Excellency, you know this is a bill that allows us to keep the promise that we made on the various water institutes that are in our counties, allowing them to enter into PPP agreements. Because as an administration, and Mheshimiwa Ichung'wah has spoken to this, you know very well that we don't have sufficient resources to roll out water programs in all our counties. And the thinking that has come from the executive, which we are at liberty to make a determination and make it better perhaps, so that it looks good and is in sync with our constitution, especially appreciating the two levels of government, should be to support this dream and this thinking that we are able to run county programs, water programs using the PPP framework.
Your Excellency, we also have the national government administration laws that are also bound to come to the Assembly this session. Also the NADCO report, our affordable housing bill, which, Your Excellency, I'm happy to report we began debate last week on Thursday. We were not able to conclude, and hopefully we should be able to conclude that tomorrow afternoon. Our plans were to be able to conclude debate and close it tomorrow afternoon. I know on Thursday a number of us were not present in the National Assembly, and that's one of the things, Your Excellency, I'll be asking many of us who are here to, in this very busy session of this year, to avail ourselves in the House, and especially when we have very critical government business, to make sure that we are there in the House. Last week on Thursday, we were not very many of us, and unfortunately, even when we have critical business, I know there is a complacency always to feel safe in numbers because we have a very clear majority. Every time the whip or any one of us is around trying to mobilize people to get back to the house, they tell you, niko peke yangu tu, wacha nakuja. And we all forget that it is you as an individual who adds to the collective numbers. And when one person again stays away in our constituencies saying it's only myself, another one is reasoning the same way, and eventually we find ourselves that we don't have the numbers. And it's unfortunate, last week, I have to report here, Your Excellency, on Thursday afternoon, the other side were more than us in the House. In fact, at one point, the leader of minority approached me to close debate on the affordable housing bill. Of course, knowing that if we closed at that point, they had the numbers. But we should be able to conclude that business tomorrow. Hopefully, on Wednesday afternoon, we get into third reading. Again, during third reading, we will be asking all of you to be present so that we're able to conclude with that debate and be able to process the bill forward to the Senate so that they're able to advertise it by Friday, do their public participation, and we get a new affordable housing bill before the next payroll. And usually many corporations, both private and public, process their payrolls after the 15th of the month. So we hope by the 15th of March, Your Excellency, you will have processed, you will have assented to the new affordable housing bill.
We know that as a Senate, we don't have an exclusive role on this budget-making process, Your Excellency, but because we are leaders, we have an opinion also. And there's something that I'd wish to share, that a concern that senators have, which we would wish to make as a request to you as a leader of the executive and as our colleagues in the assembly as well. If you look at our counties, Your Excellency, because of many of them borrow their budgeting framework from what is done in the executive. And we have done well in managing this economy, despite all the difficult challenges that we've had. But, Your Excellency, there's something that we can improve, and we should as a team. When doing our budgets, including the BPS that has been laid, the business of setting extremely high revenue projections and budgeting on it leaves us with pending bills in our counties, and it is on account of it, Your Excellency, that we have the debt crisis that we currently continue to face. I'd wish to request, Your Excellency, that let us be realistic in our budgeting. There is no harm. I believe many of the leaders that are here have no difficulty explaining to our constituents sometimes why certain projects will have to delay, because you have led the country in appreciating that we can manage our economy more prudently than we have done in the past. On account of that exercise, how the executive have done it at the national level, our counties have borrowed in. Many of our counties, they are projecting, on-source revenue of 1 billion shillings for a county that the last financial year collected 100 million. Then they issue jobs of 900 million. What do you have? People that are despondent, they have jobs, they have done, but they cannot be paid because that money is not there. That practice, they borrowed it from us in Parliament and at the county. Unfortunately, as Senate, we don't have a say in that matter, but because we are leaders, we'd wish to plead with you, the executive, and our colleagues in the National Assembly, that as you consider this year's BPS, build your budget at least on, if it is a revenue projected growth, let us be realistic. A maximum, our revenue growth doesn't go beyond 10% in a financial year.
Lastly is to request our cabinet secretaries, every time you find an opportunity to come and answer to a question or to a statement requested by a member of parliament, please take that time as also an opportunity to espouse on government policy. And maybe, for instance, I don't know, C.S. Eliot Owalo has not been there, for instance. If you get an opportunity to answer to a question, take that opportunity to also challenge us as members of parliament to also be a bit quick in pushing through government agenda, especially something like the ICT hubs. It's a perfect opportunity to come and speak to members of parliament and to the country, because you have almost a whole hour on TV free of charge. So it's a very good opportunity to also use that to espouse on government policy and push our agenda and market our agenda to the people of Kenya. And I hope many of you who have that opportunity this year will make use of that time in the House. Yeah. And by speaking to members of parliament from the floor of the House, you will also have an opportunity to speak to the country at a prime time when many Kenyans are watching. And I'm happy cabinet secretaries like the Honorable Kipchumba Murkomen has done very well in taking advantage of even very difficult questions. I remember when there was a question on the allocation of resources to roads, and CS Murkomen was able to turn around the question and put it back to Parliament itself. And I remember when he left the House, those of us who are members of the Budget Committee and the Roads Committee were pleading with Honorable Murkomen to please not appear back in the House. On the Kamukunji, he promised that he would even want an opportunity to have a Kamukunji with members of Parliament. So I want to encourage other cabinet secretaries, please take time, CS Florence, on the jobs in the diaspora and other opportunities, CS Oalo on the online jobs through the ICT hubs, to use the floor of the House to be able to market what we are doing as a government.
The executive and the legislature, let us focus on helping the president to succeed. I am persuaded from where I sit that that is the most important thing in the next 2 years. Those of us who campaigned for President William Ruto give the people of Kenya hope and assurance that you transform this country and their lives. We therefore have a duty to make sure that President William Ruto and his administration must succeed. Let us spend time and focus in activities and programs to make sure that the president honors his mandate with the people of Kenya. Other things can wait for 2026, but 2024, 2025, we must all be united and must focus to do whatever it takes to make sure that the president delivers to the people of Kenya. Finally, Your Excellency, I had somebody saying that you should not look at the rear mirror. I want to encourage you to continue looking at the rear mirror, because the inventor of the motor vehicle was not mad by putting the rear mirror. In your leadership, Your Excellency, you have made it very clear that no Kenyan should be left behind. So you must continuously continue looking at the rear mirror to make sure that all Kenyans are on board and they are not left behind. Again, Your Excellency, there are also people who would want to derail your vehicle. There are those who like to puncture the rear wheels. There are those who like to remove goods from your pickup behind. You must continuously look at the rear mirror and the side mirrors so that anybody who may want to derail your vehicle, you are ahead. And again, Your Excellency, your pace is too fast for those of us who help you, myself and these cabinet secretaries. Sometimes you are too fast, you leave us behind. So continue looking. So when you find your deputy is being left behind, you urge him to come to catch up with you and the rest to catch up with you so that this country can move forward. With those